Hey, what's going down, everybody? This your boy Jay Mace inside the Time Machine on WUAG 103.FM, playing the best of new and old school hip hop, R&B, and everything else in between. With me on the phone right now, I have Mick Murphy, member of the '80s group The System. Mr. Murphy, welcome to the Time Machine.
Hey, thanks a lot. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Can't complain about anything.
I understand that. Now, tell the people, when did you first fall in love with music?
Oh, I was in music from the time I was 12 or 13 years old. I was in a lot of local bands, and we played all over. So I've been in bands since I was 12 or 13 years old.
Okay, now you're a multi-instrumentalist, correct?
That's correct.
All right, name some of the instruments that you play.
I play guitar and keyboards and sing.
Okay, all right, multi-talented, Mr. Do-It-All. Now, how did The System come about?
Let's see. I was working with a couple groups in New York City, a group called Change and groups called Clear. And I met this guy named David Frank, who was playing in another local band, and I got him a gig working with the group Clear. And during the time I was working with Clear, we cut a couple demos, and that I took to Atlantic Records, and we ended up getting a record deal there.
Okay, and what year was that you guys got the deal with Atlantic?
Well, actually, we cut a demo over the weekend, and I came in to the city on Monday and had my friend at Atlantic, Dennis King, cut a lacquer, which is a demo record, and I took it that day. We got a deal the same day.
Wow.
And that was 1982.
Okay, now explain the landscape of R&B, or just music in general, during that time in the early 80s.
Explain the what?
Explain the musical, what was music like during that time period in the early 80s?
Oh, well, it was mostly live bands. There were a lot of funk was going on. You had a lot of funk groups, and there was quite a bit of dance music going on. In New York City, we had a DJ named Frankie Crocker, who was the first DJ to play our record in New York.
Okay. Very legendary DJ Frankie Crocker, the Chief Rocker.
That's right, Chief Rocker, Frankie Crocker.
All right. Now, who were some of your influences growing up? Who did you listen to while, you was in your room listening to your 45s or 33rd and the 3rd?
Well, I love Sly and the Family Stone, Jimi Hendrix, The Temptations. Let's see, who was out of that? Stevie Wonder, especially Elton John. A lot of rock, and pretty much that's it.
So basically, you were all over the place musically.
I really was, yes.
Okay, now how did you guys come up with your first big hit? You're in My System.
Well, after we cut our first demo, the first record that we had recorded, which was a song called In Times of Passion, they told us we could go in and record an album. So we started recording the album, and actually, You're in My System was the first song that we recorded for the album. It made sense. It had the name of the group in it, and it was something that my mom used to always say. So I came up with it probably in a matter of a couple days and cut it and recorded it, and that song ended up being a top 10 hit for us, and then an artist named Robert Palmer also cut that, and it was released and was a big hit in Europe.
Robert Palmer Kids was the late singer that had the song Simply Irresistible, Addicted to Love, and Tell Me I'm Not Dreaming.
That's correct.
Now, what was your reaction when You're in My System was a big hit and you're probably going to like a club or how they would say it back then, a discotheque, and you hear the System record?
It was amazing. I mean, the thing that's great about New York is there were 3 or 4 radio stations, and when it came out, I remember riding in my car and hearing it on 3 stations at the same time, pretty much right around the same time. You could flip between the stations and it would be playing. And because it was different than any other records that were out, because a lot of it was very electronic, a lot of synthesizers and drum machines. We really were at the beginning of that type of sound. And before we were recording, most groups, as I said before, were complete bands with a bass player, a drummer, a keyboard player, a horn section, and we were kind of the first group that made all our music with just 2 people.
So it was kind of like you guys had the new wave aesthetic going on with the synthesizers and stuff.
Completely was a new wave aesthetic, and as a result of that, we were very popular in Europe, and we ended up producing a lot of European acts and a lot of acts in the United States as well. We went on to work with artists like Shaka Khan and Angie Bofield and Phil Collins. we worked with a lot of different artists as a result of that sound.
Right, and I believe one of the stations that probably played You're in My System was it Disco 92 KTU?
Oh, absolutely. KTU played all our music. We were huge on that station.
Okay. Now, how did you guys... Okay, before we get into that, explain the video of You're in My System, because I remember seeing it not too long ago, and it's like, okay, it was straight 80s.
Well, actually, we didn't have that big a budget to make videos at the time because, first of all, we were a biracial duo. They had never seen anything like that before. And we weren't the typical group that they expected, that people expected. So we made that video actually downtown on Wall Street in this tunnel of this building with all these flashing lights behind us. And, it was kind of very interesting way to make a video at that time.
I mean, you had the Jerry curl going, man, and this, that, and the third, and rocking various 80s fashions. Now, I know you didn't use up the whole bottle of activator for that shoot.
Well, you got to keep your curl activator happening, baby.
So let your soul glow. You and ready for the curl. Ready for the world.
Absolutely,
y'all had the Jerry curl going.
The world came next, okay?
Okay. Now, how did you guys land in Beat Street?
Well, we being a local New York group, they were looking for acts that were connected to the downtown scene in New York, and we were one of those groups, and they selected us to perform in Beat Street.
Okay, and I know Brenda K. Starr, the girl that went and did I Still Believe, and Mariah Carey covered that, and I believe Mariah was a backup single for her at one point. She was also featured in Beat Street.
Yes, also my cousin Bernard Fowler from the Peach Boys. He performed in one of the gospel scenes in that movie as well.
Okay, now coming off the debut record, explain the process. You're coming off of that, and you're going to make Don't Disturb This Groove.
Well, there were two records in between that. We had a record with the Pleasure Seekers. I don't know if you know that one, and This Is For You. So we had a record in between Don't Disturb This Groove. Actually, there were two records. There was, after You're in My System, we had another record that didn't get a lot of play. I can't remember the name of the record. But after that, the Pleasure Seekers, which we did mostly in L.A., and then Don't Disturb This Groove, which during that time we were working with Shaka Khan and working with a lot of other artists. So we were influenced by a producer named Arif Martin, who was a big producer at Atlantic at the time. And we recorded that also with Jimmy Douglas. He was our engineer, who also works now on a lot of big hip-hop records with Timbaland.
Okay. Now, when Don't Disturb This Groove came out, this was 1987. It was an R&B hit, and it was also a pop hit as well.
That's correct. It went to number 2 on the pop charts.
Okay, now explain that record, because it's a synth electro record. But it was a slow jam at the same time.
Yeah, that record for us was a real hallmark because it was really the first big beat ballad. Before that, I don't know if you remember, but all R&B was kind of, live drums, and kind of the drums were real low key, not a lot of punch and a lot of push. But Don't Disturb This Groove was a real powerful beat ballad, and it shows a little bit of the influence we had coming from groups like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now what was your take on the whole New Jack Swing period?
New Jack Swing was something that was kind of always around. I think we had a lot of influence on that because Teddy used drum machines, we were using drum machines, and growing up in New York, it was kind of obvious that would be the next thing. Now, I don't know how, I didn't realize it would catch on throughout the whole country, and I ended up, in fact, working with Teddy Riley for about a year, writing songs for Blackstreet, and did a record with him for Tom Jones.
Okay, all right. And what was your opinion on Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and the whole Minneapolis funk sound?
Always loved that. Always loved the sound they had, and we were both admirers of each other. In fact, one of my best friends, he lives in New York now, is Andre Simone, who played with Prince. So we were kind of all influenced by the same music during that time. Even though Minneapolis would seem to be far away from New York, we were listening to a lot of the same music. Right,
because going back and listening to some of Prince's earlier stuff and the stuff that he did was with Morris Day and the Time and Alexander O'Neal, you pretty much have that same synthesizer electro sound.
Absolutely. We were both using the OB8 synthesizer and both using drum machines. I think that separated us from a lot of the bands that were around at that time.
Okay. Now, explain the period Don't Disturb This Groove, blow up, and, you guys are, on the map. Like, You're in My System was a big hit, but Don't Disturb This Groove took you guys to another plateau.